I never thought anything like this could be in the hills of West Virginia, or even how that could be even imagined, you know, something like this. It's quite amazing.
It's just breathtaking, breathtaking.
This is absolutely amazing. I've never seen anything like this before.
Incredible, absolutely incredible.
Oh, it's fabulous.
I just don't know how they did it.
You hate to leave when you see something like this.
I never expected to see anything like this in the hills of West Virginia. Just magnificent.
My mission originally was more scientific than artistic, in that the Krishnas asked us to come to them and help master plan these acres on which this temple is located. I was astonished at the beginnings that they had made with the building that you're now standing in front of, and continued to advise them as to finishing it, encouraging them. I discovered early on, as a student of architecture, that to have fine examples to show to my students in this country was not as plentiful as, for instance, in other countries of the world. My faith in what these people have done has been fully supported. If you will, it's a labor of love. Therefore, I believe this is a labor of God.
There never were any plans for the palace. We simply had an idea. We wanted to make Prabhupada a nice house so that he could come and stay with us. We began with 4 block walls, and then we added a little portico around with arches, and then we added terraces and fountains and so many things. The additions are still going on, and hopefully they'll go on eternally. I think I like to let Prabhupada's palace speak for itself. Someone simply comes and sees the palace. Immediately they have a greater understanding than I can ever begin to express, because factually the development of the palace is it is a spiritual thing. It is not something that I or any member of the community has done, or any combination. It is actually the desire of Krishna to glorify his pure devotee. And somehow or other, we have simply found ourselves in the middle. We have been fortunate enough to be his instruments. The plan is with Krishna. Krishna certainly, and we have seen how that when we come and we add something on, it fits perfectly. It's as if there were a complete plan there originally, but it was not in our position. But if you want to serve Krishna, Krishna will give you the means to serve him. So we started the palace, but then we thought, well, we'd like to use some marble, so we stopped to build the marble shop. It took us a whole year to build the marble shop. And during that year, practically no work was done on the palace. But, of course, actually, there's all work for the palace.
Of course, there are always 2 things. There is one's propensity or one's desire, and there's sometimes necessity. Sometimes people are engaged by necessity, but whenever possible we try to engage everyone according to their natural propensity or what they have some particular liking for. That's one nice feature of New Vrindavan. We have so many varied activities that usually anyone who comes can find some particular thing that they have a special interest in. And we find that it's very good for someone's development in Krishna consciousness if he can find a service that he can get into, that he can absorb himself in. Then he can develop that service for Krishna. The more we develop some particular service, the more we perfect it. We're able to see Krishna in the direction of that service. So as we perform something very expertly for Krishna, Krishna becomes also pleased. And just like in this material world, you see something very nice, a nice painting, something well done, your immediate question is, who has done this? Real progress means progress to go back to home, back to Godhead. That is our only progress, so far as our economic solution or our material necessities. Krishna takes care of his devotee. Krishna is the maintainer of everyone. He maintains so many millions and billions of living entities. He can certainly maintain a few devotees here in West Virginia or anywhere else. There is no difficulty. If we simply try for him, he will give us all success. If there is a big depression, if there is a famine, what can the factories do? We're not dependent on factories, but we're dependent on God. If we simply depend on the Supreme Lord, and by the natural arrangement He has given us, the cow, the land, and hard work, we're sure to come out successful. Actually, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, this is the king of knowledge. What is that king of knowledge? That one should be able to discriminate between matter and spirit, between what is temporary and what is eternal. There is no question of stopping anything. We're not stopping the process of eating, or the process of sleeping, or the process of maintaining our bodies. We also believe in maintaining whatever is necessary. But along with this material life, along with learning how to build, how to farm, how to do so many things, we want that they should learn how to love God.
I think one of the nice things about it is that the palace is that, just like the doorway, for example, nobody else would make a doorway like that, except we know Prabhupada was very short in stature, physically. So I mean, the whole palace was designed with Prabhupada consciousness in mind. So even the doorway was designed so Prabhupada could, you know, would be just the right size for him to come in. So everything about the palace is simply for Prabhupada's pleasure.
Only this could be done out of love. And I want to know who is inspiring this love. How these ordinary people who don't have any talents, any skills can come and do such wonderful things. I want to know who inspired them to do that, why they were inspired.
Anyone can do devotional service. And we see that here. So many people have come. Not just devotees, guests have come. And they have been, they want to work. They've seen
such a wonderful palace here, and they immediately want to help.
Amazing thing is that we began such a project. The poet said, "Fools rush in where angels fear to tread."
Do you think that this palace will lend new legitimacy to the Krishna movement? Do you think that people will come here who otherwise would have stayed away?
That is already a fact. Daily and weekly we have hundreds and hundreds of people from the vicinity who come here regularly to see the palace.
What do you think it will mean to the movement in America?
I think people will begin to understand the movement, because right now our movement is misunderstood. It's not that the movement will be more legitimate, but that people may recognize our legitimacy.
Do you think it will boost your membership?
Our membership is growing anyway, because what we have is genuine. There's an old saying, if you build a better mousetrap, the world will be the path to your door.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Our beloved Guru Dev, Srila Prabhupada, gave us the greatest gift. He went to the greatest trouble on our behalf, leaving the holy land of Vrindavan when he was in full realization of Krishna, just to bring us this chanting of devotion. In a dozen short years, he worked tirelessly, he traveled incessantly, he wrote profusely, he hardly slept, and toward the end he didn't eat at all. Simply to try and deliver Krishna to us. While he was with us, we hardly realized what we had. Even now, we do not realize. Srila Prabhupada is so unique. His glories cannot be delineated. But we have to begin the attempt. Srila Prabhupada's palace is simply an attempt to try and put Prabhupada in his proper setting. It is like a setting for a beautiful gem.
Prabhupada's palace is to Prabhupada what a beautiful setting is to a diamond. The palace is a means of drawing attention to Srila Prabhupada. Unfortunately, during Prabhupada's life, almost up until now, Prabhupada has never become very prominent through the Hare Krishna movement. Of course, he arranged it that way. He could have made it the Bhaktivedanta Swami movement, but he didn't. Because he is a humble Vaishnava, a humble devotee. No matter how people become acquainted with Srila Prabhupada, they'll want to know more about him. His books have been distributed for the last 10 years, but sometimes we wonder how many people are reading them. The books may be sitting on the shelves, but if people come to Prabhupada's palace and see the beauty of the work and the devotion of those who have worked here, they may take the books down off the shelf and read them.
The spiritual master never claims to be God. Srila Prabhupada always says that if a spiritual master says he is God, he is dog. Actually, the only thing I've ever heard Prabhupada say is that he claims to be presenting Krishna exactly as he is. He's presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is. He is presenting the message of Lord Chaitanya as it is, as he has heard it from his spiritual master, who in turn is presenting it as it is, as he heard it from his spiritual master, and that disciplic succession goes back to Krishna himself. Therefore we know that this message is true.
This building doesn't cost any more than a church of the same size.
Oh,
an ordinary
well,
church.
that's what I was saying. I was asking the argument of all.
My point is that this building costs $10 a week for the devotees who live here.
What do you mean cost $10?
Well, for the period that we've been building, if everyone put in $10 a week, that's how much the building has cost.
And you've been building for 8 years?
So if you consider how much most people spend for cigarettes, for going to the movies, for going to a dance, or for this or that, which we don't do, it's far more than $10 a week. But we have taken our, if you want to call it spending money or whatever you want to call it, leisure, and we have put it into this beautiful temple, and then we invite everyone to come and enjoy it also.
So it will be open full-time?
It's open to the public, yes.
The,
so I don't think we should be criticized for that.
well, what about the aspect of the spiritual theme part? What exactly did that calls to mind?
Spiritual theme part means that we want people to come here so that we can preach Krishna consciousness. But we don't want to. We know that people will not listen if we simply preach. People aren't going to listen. But if you can do it in a way that they'll listen, then it is very good. Just like a small child, you want to give him some medicine, and he says, "No, it tastes bad. I won't take it." So you say, "No, it doesn't taste bad. Here, it's jam," and you disguise the taste. Similarly, we have to inject this medicine because the world is suffering from a great disease, and that disease is causing the destruction of the whole world.
What is the disease?
The disease is that everyone is trying to get more and more sense gratification for himself. Therefore, there is this great conflict going on in the world between man and between country and country.
Doesn't it sound a little patronizing, though, to compare giving someone religion to a child who needs to have their medicine disguised in jam?
No more patronizing than the doctor. Is the doctor patronizing?
Yes,
if he diagnoses your disease and he says, "You must take this medicine," and you say, "No, it tastes bad," but just take it. Do you say he's patronizing? No, because he has knowledge.
As an adult, I don't take my medicine in jam. As a child, I do. We were talking about the
Yes, but we are children. Spiritually, you are a child.
We see so many magazines glorifying this personality or that personality, this movie star or that writer. This is a natural tendency in human society to want to glorify someone. In fact, some great historians have attempted to interpret all history from the viewpoint of great personalities. They have what they call a great man theory of history. At the present moment, however, they point out that there are no great men, there are no great idols. Just like when our country was founded, there were so many great men like Washington, Jefferson, Hamilton, but today who is there? Even as recently as World War II, there was Churchill, Roosevelt, Stalin, so many great men, but today the world scene is vacant. But the tendency is still there to want to glorify someone. So if there are no real great men, then they have to make a common man or a fool into an idol. We have been fortunate enough, however, that we've actually found someone who is worthy of being glorified, because the only person who is really worthy of being glorified is one who is representing the all-glorious personality of Godhead. Krishna is the one who is all-glorious because he possesses all the glorious qualities. He is entire wealth, entire fame, entire knowledge, entire beauty, entire strength, all renunciation. Whatever great quality you can imagine, it is there in Krishna. Whenever they want to glorify someone, they have to glorify in these terms. Either someone is famous or wealthy or powerful or knowledgeable. And Krishna possesses all these qualities in full. Therefore, he is glorious. And a pure devotee of Krishna, he becomes glorious because he's connected with Krishna. So that was our good fortune, that Srila Prabhupada, by his intimate connection with Krishna, showed these qualities which are really glorious. And that's why the palace is glorious, because it is also connected with Krishna through Prabhupada. And Krishna has arranged it that the palace has become so glorious. It is far beyond the expectation of even the devotees who imagined it or built it. So there is nothing wrong with glorifying someone if they actually have glorious qualities, and if one knows how to glorify. There is the right person to glorify and the right way to glorify. And if one follows that process, he also becomes glorious.
So this community situated here in the hills of West Virginia actually is not part of West Virginia at all. Not part of the United States or the material world. It is part of the spiritual sky, because this sound of the holy name of the Lord is always present. It is here to beckon people back to home, to leave this material world of birth and death. There's always one misery after another. And if we simply take to this chanting of the Lord's holy name, we can at once feel the presence of Krishna. We can at once become happy and joyful. And at the end of this life, go back to home, back to God.
I am Dr. Datta from London, England. This is my mother, who is 80 years old. And we came from London, England to visit the opening of Srila Prabhupada's palace. And my impression of this is there is nothing like this in the entire world, not only West or East, in the whole world. I have never seen anything so magnificent in my entire life, and I have traveled almost all over the world. And to say that this is the Taj Mahal of the West is an understatement because I do not think Taj Mahal is as beautiful as this. Thank you very much.
Prabhupada's work is unlimited. We will have so many palaces to build. First of all, he told us to build 7 palaces for Radha and Krishna in New Vrindavan. So we have a whole lifetime of work ahead of us.
Govinda Gopi